Hey, folks, my guest today is Bill Bice. He's the CEO at NQ ZebraWorks, which is tackling the challenges created by work from anywhere in legal organizations. He started his first software company at 18 and has since been on the founding team or a seed investor in over 27 startups. Bill, you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely.
All right, very cool. So jump into this. NQZW.com. So are you selling directly to legal firms?
We are.
Okay. And I assume, would you build this for yourself?
Well, no, it's coming back to my roots. That first company you mentioned that I started when I was 18 was in the legal tech vertical, and I've kind of circled back around and come back into that market. And it's actually a pretty exciting time to be in this niche. So we're having a lot of fun going after it.
So what are some of the issues that legal firms have when there is no central office and everyone's remote?
Yeah, it's sort of the issue that everybody's tackling, but law firms and legal organizations, government agencies, corporate law departments, it's a pretty conservative bunch. And the pandemic has been this outside force that has suddenly caused change to occur. And so, and I really don't look at it as a change agent. It's more like an accelerator, right? It took things that were already happening, and now instead of taking a year, it's all, 10 years, it's all been compressed into 1 year. So all these issues of flexibility and hybrid work have sort of been forced on law firms where they really didn't have to deal with them before. And it's an environment where security is really important, and being able to extend your infrastructure and support work from anywhere is tough for them to do. So that's what we've been going after.
Interesting. And when did you launch the business officially?
Well, so this came out of a merger. So the InQ portion was launched in 2003. I started ZebraWorks in 2019, and to get back into the legal market. And so we merged the two together last year.
And help me understand what firms are paying on average per month to use your technology?
Well, it's pretty cost effective. So it's in the, $10 per month per user kind of range. And these are typically pretty large firms with large user bases.
Mm-hmm. So instead of looking at it on a seat basis, though, what's sort of the average firm? Like, so you basically get the average number of seats they're paying to start with. Are we talking like $1,000 a month or like 10 grand a month?
Well, all of the above. So we work with the largest firms in the world down to mid-sized firms. So it could be 50 users at a firm down the street from you, or it could be a firm that has several thousand users.
Mm-hmm. I know it's hard to do, but if I did sort of force you into an average, what would you say your sweet spot is? What's the middle?
The middle is probably $100 to $200,000 annual recurring revenue projects.
Okay, fair enough. $150,000 a year, and that's if a legal firm's paying you 150 grand a year, how many seats are they probably using?
That's in the several hundred seats.
Several hundred. So how many law firms have several hundred folks that they could pay for seats? Like, what do you think the total amount of legal firms you can sell to is?
Well, it is a niche market. So we talk a lot about the AmLaw 1000 in the U.S., which are sort of those firms that get you down to about 200 attorneys roughly, and most firms have about twice the staff of the number of attorneys that you see.
Okay, interesting. So you launched this in 2019. You're obviously scaling nicely. Have you done this all bootstrapped, or did you raise capital?
No, so part of the merger was a capital infusion that let us go out and grow like we want to.
I don't know that I understand the whole merger thing, right? So when did the merger happen, and why did you do the merger?
Well, so we did that in 2020. So we were out looking to raise the Series A for ZebraWorks. So we built our very first product, and it was time to go to market. And the route we ended up taking was merging with a well-established legal tech company, NQ, and as part of that, funding was part of the deal. So it was kind of a twofer. Let's put more mass behind it and bring the funding to the table at the same time.
I want to try and simplify this, but we don't have tons of time, right? So you're saying NQ at the time was doing more revenue than Zebra, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
You're now leading, though, as CEO as the resulting organization, right?
Correct.
And so, I mean, from like a cap table perspective, do they just own like 80% and you only own 20, or like how did you work through some of those economics?
Well, it was a little bit of a reverse merger in the sense that part of the attractiveness in doing it was the management team that we had created with ZebraWorks. So what we did when we put ZebraWorks together is we brought the original team of that that first company I started when I was 18 was called Pro Law Software. And the genesis of ZebraWorks was to bring that management team back together, which, we spent a ton of time in the legal market. We know this area inside and out. So it was that expertise that we were really bringing to the table. And we built a cloud platform. We tie that to the existing on-premise technology that we have from NQ. And it's kind of a joke in the legal market that the way you be successful in this market is do things today that everybody else was doing 10 years ago. So right now we're moving to the cloud. And so that's sort of the logic of the combination.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense to me. But what, I mean, I know you can't share a lot of this, but like the cap table today, is it basically like anyone that invested in NQ sort of sits as one sort of SPV on your cap table, and then you have a portion, and then you have an employee option pool for the rest of your people at Zebra?
Yeah, it's even simpler than that because NQ had been bought by a company called Recon that is a publicly held company in Australia. So you have sort of one piece that comes from the Recon side, and then the other piece from ZebraWorks.
That publicly traded company owns a bit of your equity.
Exactly.
I see. Very interesting. Okay. And what was the cash injection component of the merger? How much?
So the original goal when we were going out to do the Series A was to do a $5 million raise. And although we didn't announce it, we inherent in the deal was exceeding what we were looking for in funding.
That's great. What were you targeting valuation wise when you were going out for the 5 million?
So we were early stage. So that was one of the attractive elements of this, is that it was really good for everybody that was involved. So our goal when we were just raising the Series A was to get something in the $8 to $10 million pre.
Yep. Okay. 8 to 10 pre, which would put you at what, like 12 to 15 posts, something like that, selling 30% of the business.
Exactly. Yep.
And what you're saying is through this new deal, you basically were able to get actually more than that, plus a great new partner, and plus a customer base that you can move from on-prem to cloud at Zebra, increase ARPU, upsell the cloud instance.
Yeah, and we instantly went from 6 people to 60 overnight with a really experienced team that lives in this market, and so our ability to scale, just put us in a different league, day one.
Fascinating. Okay, now how many customers today total?
We've got about 500.
Wow, 500 law firms, and then add up all the seats. How many attorneys across those 500 firms?
That's a great question. I haven't actually added it up.
I thought you would be like tracking that number every day. That's the exciting number.
Well, it is. And I know it better for the newer things. So we're also doing the transition from the traditional enterprise sale to a subscription model. So, that of course, that's a difficult thing for any software company to go through, but it, dramatically increases the value of the company to do that. So I don't have the same standard SaaS metrics because we're right in the middle of making that transition.
Yeah. What is the split? So how many customers are on-prem customers only, and how many are Zebra cloud customers only?
Well, so the cloud products are brand new. So that's not a ton of firms that we have sold only new. But frankly, really what firms want is that sort of bridge to the cloud. The small firms have migrated, and you can find small firms that are 100% cloud, but the rest of the market is this sort of hybrid model between on-prem and cloud. And
so if I asked you, like, what is your monthly recurring revenue today, would you include all like the SLA and maintenance agreements that came with the NQ, the deal there? I imagine that was their recurring revenue stream as maintenance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And are they still pretty sticky? I mean, or no, they're churning like crazy and all are moving to the cloud.
No, one of the things that's really nice about legal is if you do a good job of taking care of your customers, you can have an extremely low churn rate in this market. Mm-hmm. It's a very interesting vertical because companies coming from outside who don't understand legal often struggle for years to really get the value proposition here. But if you understand it and you're really good at it, then you can keep your clients, essentially forever.
What is your churn today?
It is on an annual basis less than 3%.
On a revenue or a logo basis annually? Logo basis. Okay, that's incredible. Now, what's the expansion revenue look like? I imagine you're way above 100% net dollar retention.
We are, and I specifically look at logo retention because it is very deceiving to look at the revenue numbers, and that ability to hold on to firms and then have that client base to upsell in is crucial to the whole strategy.
Mm-hmm. So do you know what your expansion is on the historical base past 12 months?
I don't.
Okay. But you know you're above 100% net dollar retention.
Yes.
Okay, so at least 3% expansion then to make up the 3% churn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair. Okay, interesting. All right, very cool. You mentioned 60 people today. How many of those are engineers?
We've got 24 people in engineering.
And I imagine you probably have quota carrying sales reps at this ACV.
We do.
How many?
Sales team is 12.
Bill, you've done this a ton. A lot of first-time founders struggle with how to set comp structures for their first account executive, right? How do you structure that? What's the quota target?
Well, it's tough, particularly when you're not totally sure you've got product market fit. We have a huge advantage here in that we know this market really well. We're working with the sales team and a sales leader that. So our CRO was the sales leader at ProLaw, that first company. So it's such a huge advantage to come in with that knowledge of what it takes. But I always build from the ground up and say, okay, well, how many? It's so tempting to take the numbers and go into reverse. We need this revenue. We have this many salespeople, and we're going to divide up the quota. But that's really meaningless, right? I much prefer the ground up route of saying, okay, here's the activity that I know a sales rep can do. Here's what that's going to translate into a realistic number of deals per month. Here's what that turns into revenue, and that's what creates a quota.
And so, what is that today?
So the quota for a sales rep is and this is based on multi-year deals. So it's 3 to 5 year deals, and depending on the region, it's 600 to 1.2.
Interesting. And let's say that you hired me 6 months ago, and I'm on track to hit my $1.2 million quota. What will I earn full on target earnings, base plus commission?
So this is you're probably not going to do that well if you're coming in from outside the market, right? This is a place where having the experience and the connections is really valuable. And so a good salesperson in this market is gonna make 120 on the low end and 180 to 200 sort of the norm, and a top performer can hit 250, 300.
Base plus commission.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Okay, cool. Let's talk about growth, right? So when you look at obviously just like your revenue numbers past 12 months, the merger happens, all that. What'd you grow by the past 12 months?
So we will be at 12 months next month. So okay. We're at 11 months as we speak today, 11 months and a handful of days. And so with the conversion from maintenance, we're running at about a 18% growth rate, which we expect to accelerate coming into the year as we have more cloud products that we're taking to market.
And so what does that mean? I mean, do you think by December this year, you can break, a $2 million run rate?
We're going to next year. It's all about, it's all about getting to the SaaS business model.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you feel confident about passing $1 million in terms of revenue this year?
Yes. And the beautiful thing about this market is if you're really good at it, it is a very strong referral market. So that's one of the reasons I really like this market, because there's such a great payoff to actually focusing on your clients and taking care of them. Like the core principles of the business really pay off.
Yeah. Help me understand real quick. I'm missing something here. So you mentioned earlier 500 customers, and you mentioned average ACVs between 100 and 200,000. Now, obviously, you and I can both do math. That would put you at like a $50 or $60 million run rate, but you're at more like $1 million to $2 million today. Do all those 500 not pay those bigger contract values yet? Is that what happened there?
Well, so it'd be great if the entire history of the company were on the SaaS business model, right? Because that's how it would translate. So you're
making way more revenue than $1 million or $2 million. That's just the SaaS portion.
Well, it's the multiple factors. It's the history of the enterprise sales. So you're only getting the maintenance revenue from those customers. Mm-hmm. But it's the reason why everybody who ever built a SaaS company or a software company 20 years ago wished they had built it as SaaS, because of course the revenue and valuation today would just be completely different.
Yeah. Let me ask this differently. What revenue do you think you have to hit to go out and raise a competitive Series B?
So this may sound a little nuts given the economics of how SaaS businesses work, but we believe we have a long runway without having to go to a Series B.
Mm-hmm. Are you profitable today?
We are.
So how did you reinvest the $5 million cash injection you got? Is that all still sitting in the bank?
Well, we're still investing. That's the beauty of having such a strong foundation. It's why this made so much sense for us, because we take a great profitable business, add the SaaS extensions to that. So the investment's really building out the platform.
Well, I guess that's my point, is if you're taking in $5 million of capital, that wasn't revenue, right? It was an investment. You're spending it. You're going to be burning capital for a while you invest, but you just told me you're profitable.
Yeah, because we start with a very nice profitable base that gives us a foundation to run off of. So we have quite a bit of investment scheduled for next year as we build out the engineering team, build out the sales team.
I see.
I think it's one of the core mistakes that so many founders make, which is you raise money and then you do everything at once at the same time. And you think about building an engineering team, like, one, it's really difficult to recruit great people today. But two, the mythical man month issue has never been solved, right? We're not going to get twice as much product built because we go from 24 a team of 24 to 50. That's just not going to happen. So what we're doing is building all of the core platform with a really experienced senior team. And then once we have that, then we can more effectively put money to work.
You might be burning next year at some point as you reinvest in growth once you're ready for it.
Exactly.
I see. All right, Bill. Good stuff. Let's wrap up with the famous five. Number one, favorite book.
I was literally just looking at the Mythical Man Month because of this issue, so I'm gonna take that as the all time, because
the Mythical Man Month.
Yes.
Okay. Number two, is there a founder you're following or studying?
To pick one, I don't know. Let's go to the next question. Let me try to come up with something that seems semi-clever. Number
three, what's your favorite online tool for building Zebra besides your own?
Well, it's got to be LinkedIn. I know that's not at all unique or special, but the fact
that's the lawyer answer. That's what I would expect from a lawyer, you know?
Well, but this is what's so great about going after niches. It's like you can get to exactly who you need right now in an amazingly efficient way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. If you can define them, you're good to go. Number four, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
8.5 every night.
That's great. And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
Married, 4 kids.
Wow. How old are you?
I'm sorry?
How old are you?
52.
52. Last question. What's something you wish you knew when you were 20?
Wouldn't we all love to go back and apply everything we know now to doing it then? I mean, my biggest mistake when I was 20 was thinking that I knew it all and not being willing to accept help.
Yep. Guys, good stuff. NQZW, again, software for legal firms to manage their now newly remote teams. Did a merger last year which came with a cash injection. This was a publicly traded company, was essentially a spin out. Bill is now leading it with his great management team that has deep expertise in legal. Their call is sort of between and flirting with $1 million run rate, hoping to grow up to $2 million next year as they transition on-prem legal customers to cloud customers. 500 customers today. They are profitable, being patient before reinvesting that $5 million that came with that merger. Bill, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thanks, Ethan.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers. They try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.